Wait, what? There's stuff on the rocks? I just thought you ate them.
Let's see. Are we in the Appalachians or the Catskills?
Appalachians, Catskills, or New York.
Okay.
If my knowledge of geological formations of the eastern United States is correct.
I don't know where Catskills is, but we are in the Appalachian.
I think the Catskills are part of the Appalachian Mountains.
The Catskills kind of branch off the Appalachians.
Only a person who grew up in New York City, New York, would know this.
I'm from upstate New York.
Shut up.
Well, that's probably where they're at.
Well, they also go through part of Pennsylvania. I know that.
I don't believe you.
Well, it's just like that, Aaron. Have you ever heard of the Great Smoky Mountains?
We're gonna say that such a detailed question for a B-rated action movie is entirely irrelevant.
Yeah, the Smoky Mountains are like the southern Appalachians around South Carolina, I think.
More towards like in the Tennessee range.
North Carolina, Tennessee.
Well, I went there in South Carolina, so...
It's like, let me tell you what mountains there aren't in the state of South Carolina.
Let me tell you what mountains there aren't in Florida. Anything.
Let me tell you about the mountains in Indiana.
Yes, the glorious Indiana mountains.
The Indiana mountains.
The Indiana mountains, where they think a hill is a 5-foot incline.
No.
Well, that's pretty much like Florida.
It is.
Our biggest mountains are the speed bumps.
No, that's very much the same as Indiana.
No, Aaron, that's...
I have been to both.
You live in northern Indiana, where everything is flat.
Even southern Indiana is extremely flat,
Have you
Jordan.
been to Evansville before?
Do you live
Yes.
in southern Indiana, where everything is gently rolling flat?
Yeah, southern Indiana, where there is a slight contour. It's flat as fuck, Jordan.
I'm sorry, Aaron, I can't believe you.
Well, that's because you're from Indiana.
I grew up living in a valley.
Which is considered a ditch.
I hate to go
You
down
grew up in a ditch.
Not very nice to say about someone's birthplace.
You grew up in a 2-street ditch.
Oh,
That is definitely not the intent I meant for that to go.
the area I lived when I was a small baby is now full of meth labs. So, I mean, that's a thing.
I'm sorry, that's just too good. Oh, beautiful.
And that should have been the intro.
Yes.
Oh, it
Trying to say
was.
that isn't the intro.
Oh, wonderful.
It was.
Oh, you were already recording? Thank God.
Yeah. I started almost 3 minutes ago.
Thank God we caught that.
Yes. All right, folks, it's time to play more All Flesh Must Be Eaten. I know you've been waiting all week for this, because how could our time together not be the highlight of your lives, where we learned that Jordan was born in a ditch? Yeah.
No, he grew up in a ditch.
Born, grew up, baby steps.
Oh,
When last
And
we
it's all going to be downhill from here.
But how?
Because look at the Chapter 8 notes.
Right, but if you grew up in a ditch, how's it going to go downhill from
Well,
here?
he's been going uphill for a long time.
Bam! When last we left the player characters, they had just struck out into the wilderness of northeastern Pennsylvania. They left behind 3 stolen vehicles, a comatose girl, and a military checkpoint they just wouldn't trust. Now, you're out on your own in the Appalachian Mountains. It's early morning, a few hours before sunrise, and it is so dark. The nightlife here is active, with both perceived sounds and movement to fuck with your brain. The verdant forest obscures the night sky, leaving you reliant on the 2 flashlights Tony and Eugene brought. 3 of you are wounded. All of you are in pain. You're underfed and fatigued. You're not wearing fitted clothing. Only one of you has even a basic familiarity with forest survival, and you don't have a glut of supplies. Let's recap them. You have 12 survival rations, essentially 12 meals, 12 1-liter bottles of water, less water than the 4 of you need for a day of hiking, 1 doctor's bag, 1 first aid kit with 2 uses left, and an electronics toolkit. All of these items and your ammo are being carried in makeshift cloth packs. They not really sturdy backpacks. They're not comfortable, quite encumbering. Perhaps Cat grabbed something from the armory. Perhaps you found something to suit this in the vehicles you left. Doesn't matter. Inconsistencies happen all the time in B-rated movies. Anyway, you've been trekking for at least 10 minutes. You wanted to make sure you got enough distance from the approaching soldiers. You've just entered the tree line, as it were, and off in the distance, the vehicles are obscured. And you left. I now kick the ball to you. What now?
Try and make our way past where the checkpoints seem to be.
Sounds like a decent idea.
All right. You said that you mentioned last session that you wanted to head south towards the river to have a foundation of like guidance.
Pretty much.
Is that hold true now?
Yeah, and also to throw off our trail and have fresh water and yada yada.
All right.
Yeah.
That's fair. What I'm going to have you do for me, Aaron, is this is your turf. You are a fairly perceptive individual. You've spent some time here in these forests. So what we're gonna have you do is roll secretly for me. 1d10 plus your perception plus your survival forest skill.
Perfect.
Trying to say we're not just following a trail of marijuana plants.
Okay.
Of course we are. Guys, Potman is a druid.
Okay. Aaron, and let's see. I'll reference the object that is a clickable notes token that could be clicked there. Eugene hazards that given this situation, and what he knows of the region, you're about 3 to 4 miles away from the river. Given your current condition, particularly Trusty Tony's very shaky feet, what with how exposed they are, after all those lacerations, it's like you might make it there in 2 to 3 hours. It is very dark, and it's going to be very difficult to navigate this terrain with just your 2 flashlights. Alternatively, you could attempt to find, and with the amount of successes that you had, you could, devise some sort of shelter structure. Maybe Eugene has a fair concept of what sort of cavern structures there are. Maybe he's played around before back in the day. He might have a fairly good idea of what this region looks like, and might have a few ideas of where shelter could be obtained or how it could be easily manufactured in this situation.
Potman has a family history of where to hide and shelter caches of hooch and pot. It's a known fact.
Absolutely.
Known fact.
In that case, Eugene hazards that, given the situation, he doesn't have a map with him. He can't be exactly sure of location, but it'd probably be an hour walk. He's got little telltale McGannigan marks that are left on the trees. That
The
only
famous
he can
McGannigan
read.
hiding places.
It's a family scratch language.
Mm-hmm.
Fuck you, we hillbillies.
So arrows on trees, gotcha.
To basically alert, fellow family members to where a small cave, something of the sort can be used to hide in for a time if you get caught out in the open.
Got a whole damn clan, apparently.
For some reason, I'm thinking of the McPoyles when you're describing this.
Alright, so Potman says, alright, we can either book it for the river, in which case we'll be lucky to get there before morning, or I can probably find us some shelter nearby, but even that's about an hour away.
Well, it seems like today or tomorrow we gotta make it to water.
That is definitely the truth.
We might want to get somewhere we can rest, especially looking at how Tony's doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely a thing.
I know several people are not exactly full of endurance.
I'm doing pretty okay.
I'm doing pretty okay, but
I got a whole lot of rest.
Feeling good.
So that should be something that you modify your tokens with if you have not already done so.
let's
Potman
see.
regained 3 endurance points.
Right, so he's up to 17.
Everyone else regained 1. And you guys got some essence points back while letting time pass.
The essence gain would be your willpower times 4.
Oh, okay. So 4.
Well, yeah. Others are limited to regaining 1 essence point for each willpower level every hour.
Yep,
And it
you
was
told us
4
we had 4 hours.
I'm real glad that Popman starts with a large amount of essence because he does not recover it very fast.
Not exactly the most stalwart of minds on Eugene.
No.
He's a mental fortress. What are you talking about?
He's a one-man citadel. Citadel McGann again.
Oh my god, that might be the worst one yet.
All right, so are we going to go for, like, shelter where Tony can rest his footsies, or are we going to go for water so we don't die?
Could we do both? Like, look for shelter while moving towards the water?
Sure, but, I mean, I know that there's some shelter that-a-way-ish. I don't know if there's going to be any on the way to the river.
Which way is that away-ish?
That way is just basically you're heading south towards the river.
Oh.
Convenient.
so
Totally
he
don't know if there's any towards the water.
So he changes the degree angle that he's pointing by all of 15 degrees.
He kind of looks at you for a second and he's like, alright, let's go to the shelter.
Well, all right, but I mean, no promises as far as getting some water then. Come on, follow me.
All right, the trek is uncomfortable, to put the descriptor mildly. As mentioned before, it is extremely dark. The tree cover, the foliage, is obfuscating most of the natural night light, limiting you basically to the 2 flashlights. It's extremely frustrating. And as such, it does end up taking a full hour to travel, even though Podman hazards, it's not that far. It's he just has to spend time, studying like the bark, like, yes, it is this way. Yes. And all sorts of other, Podman being the guide and leader things. How does Eugene take this role?
In stride.
All right. Is he still lit up, or has he cooled off a bit?
He is not currently blazing.
Okay. It's good.
Yet.
Sure, I think he can read the signs better.
At any rate, there is no need for a further roll. However, all of you do end up losing a full 6 endurance points. The trek is incredibly slow and frustrating in numerous instances. You have to watch your footing to make sure you don't slip off, and you are not wearing, properly fitted clothes for this expedition. Trusty Tony ends up having the worst of it due to all of the foot damage he received. Does not prohibit him from making progress. It's just he's had, this is just another day on the long day of shitty days he's had.
Does that mean that Tony passes out 1 endurance point away from the cave?
He already subtracted the endurance points he had.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
He had 11.
Yeah, he had
Okay,
11.
cool.
So, Trusty Tony is woozy now, as you guys end up approaching. But as it turns out, Eugene manages to remember the telltale signs. It's a small cavern. The hole is pretty small. You're thinking there's probably not any sort of creature living in there, and a quick check, because Eugene's fairly familiar with survival aspects. Yeah, looks free and clear. Fairly well hidden. It's not like anyone else is taking root up in there. It's enough to fit the 4 of you. Somewhat comfortably.
All right, Potman quite proudly declares, "Hey, good news! It looks like there aren't any bears or, and he looks at Fletch, rambling men in there."
Trusty Tony searches for traps. Well, certainly, if Trusty Tony wishes, he can search for traps with a -4 from the dark and a -2 from his groggy and dizzy endurance loss. Perception plus notice.
Quick question. Is resistance fatigue working?
Yes. So instead of taking a 6-point endurance loss, you would take 5 or whatever.
I think Trusty Tony may have found the
I just forgot to
traps.
update the quality name, but I updated the points.
Trusty Tony sees that there might at some point been like a bear trap or some sort of deterrent, but it's kind of rusted a bit, the cord snapped, ineffective.
All right.
Potman's just going to look around and see if there's any goodies stashed in here, like trash.
Kat wants to see if there's anything she can do for Trusty Tony's horrible foot condition.
There's
Yeah, or
nothing.
like a broke down pair of
There's
shoes.
nothing that can be done mechanical-wise for that. Dr. Savage already took care of that first aid test to recover from the damage he sustained. Trash-wise, sure, there can be some rubbish, like broken down shoes or whatever. They would, you would question whether they would be serviceable, but maybe the McGannigans have harbored here in some time, and other hikers might have passed by.
Perfect.
It appears that all the moonshine that was stashed in this cave has been smashed and the entire ground is covered in glass.
No, however...
You know, put moonshine in glass?
Yeah.
What are you, a savage? Put it in ceramic.
However, there are no goodies like that here. Perhaps the McGannigans know to clean up after themselves when it regards to valuables.
All right, well, Potman comes back with a wrecked, beat-up, water-damaged, filthy pair of tennis shoes and says, "Hey, Tony! Look, you got something you can put on your, feet?"
Okay.
Yeah, Fletch will just be finding somewhere to kind of settle down and just sit and kind of rest.
Sure, you've got some foliage outside if you want to make use out of that. There's some trash. I got some rocks. It's,
I was just thinking more along the lines of just like sitting with back to a cave wall.
Sure, that's definitely possible too. Maybe it's more comfortable than that metal bench because it tastes like freedom.
Did I lick the wall?
Did you?
I don't know.
Don't
Apparently I know how
lick
it
the
tastes.
walls.
Roll to lick.
Is that a
They
brawler
could
thing?
be poisonous or hallucinogenic. Either is bad.
The walls are
probably-
hallucinogenic.
all the fumes from things being brewed in here.
Odd things grow on cave walls.
Yes.
Kat's
Hey,
gonna
Go ahead.
Kat's gonna try and find a place where she's got her back to a wall, maybe one of her sides also to like a larger rock.
Sure.
Position herself in there, put the first aid kit and doctor's bag somewhere nearby, where an animal won't drag it off,
Sure.
and then sleep with the riot shield over her front.
All right.
SOP, we pile the tables in front of the door.
All those tables.
What tables?
The ones in my imagination.
Shit.
Fletch did in fact lick that wall, and he's currently piling up imaginary tables.
He's like
Snozzberries
imagining.
taste like snozzberry.
Yes, exactly. Oh shit, it's happening already with the hallucinogens. At any rate, you folks can certainly hunker down and rest. And it's not going to be very pleasant, but it'll actually count as rest more so than what you've been used to these past 2 weeks. Not that Trusty Tony or Eugene can remember too well, but Kat and Fletch can certainly recall how easy it was to sleep in the military installation.
Dude, what are you talking about? There's nothing more restful than being on amnesia drugs.
Well, aside from everything else they were doing.
Yeah, completely relaxing, yes. In which case, it would end up being a decision then of how long you folks want to rest. Basically, you're starting by the time you're hunkering down at maybe 4 in the morning. And you regain 1 endurance point per constitution level per half hour of sleep.
And don't you need to sleep for 7 hours, though, at least?
Yes, at least 7 hours.
I'm sleeping for 7 hours. You can't wake me up. Dead to the world.
So do we want to get going at, like, sunrise?
I think the obvious question is, do we want to have some type of watch?
Yeah.
Which starts
Obviously
to
let
become-
Tony rest because he's fucked up.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is it starts to become, okay, we're obviously not all going to get 7 hours.
No. So we actually are going to stay here for a full 7 hours?
Tony is.
If he's out cold for 7 hours, we don't have much choice. Well, we have a choice. But, yeah.
No matter how much of a heel he is, it's not right to just leave him there.
Oh, do you?
How much loss is it?
Let's see here. Let me check to see. Anything less and you lose 1 endurance point per hour of sleep.
So if you only slept for 4 hours, you would lose 3 endurance.
You would lose 3, yeah.
But if I slept for 7 hours, that means I would get Constitution.
Yeah,
I get I get 4 times 7.
You get a Constitution per 1 times Constitution level per half hour of sleep.
So it'd be 7 times 4 for me. 28. Which would bring me back to max.
You have a Constitution of 4? Oh no, wait, every half hour. Yeah, I was confused.
Yes.
Yeah.
Double it.
And of course,
So-
with this math, I'm already seeing like problems like, well, you don't have to sleep the full limit. I would find ways to crush
We would-
people for sleep deprivation.
We would start imposing the negative ones of death.
Uh-huh.
No! Not the negative ones.
Oh god, not the...
Actually, I like that more. Without 7 hours of sleep, you suffer a -1 penalty for being fatigued. I love it. Good.
Fuck.
Oh no,
No.
we're turning into zombies!
So I guess we're
Government find us, we've all killed ourselves.
safe for quite a while.
So if...
Trusty Tony's sleeping for 7 hours. You can't wake him.
Right, so what type of watch schedule do we want to set up?
I mean, that basically requires us to, if Grimith allows for the sleep to be split, that would mean anytime we lay down, we have to stay for at least 10 hours.
Yeah, it would be fine if you guys split your sleep. Like if you ended up like sleeping for a bit and then waking up to take a watch, and then going back to sleep. But you would need to get 7 hours.
So yeah, we can stay for 10 hours instead of 7, and everybody gets full sleep.
Sounds like a plan.
Cat will, if we're gonna ask for watches, Cat will
And
volunteer.
that would
for
actually mean that everyone gets 7.5 hours of sleep, right?
Potentially, yeah, because if we had...
Yeah.
3-hour shifts, basically, is what it comes down to, and then whoever's awake in the end just stays awake.
Right.
Or 2.5-hour shifts.
Yeah, that'll work. In which case, if you guys stayed for 10 hours, then
Seems so.
Sounds about right, yeah.
okay. In that
With
case,
Tony taking the last watch.
all right, it's fine.
Cat will take the first.
Sure.
And Potman will do something.
Will you
Something.
form the head?
Yes, like a Voltron.
Potman forms the head.
And
No,
of
that
course-
should probably be someone who's less physically fit.
The
Tony's obviously the feet.
Each person's watch ends up being full of nightlife noises. The wildlife is very active. The traditional sounds that you are accustomed to here in the wilds of northeastern Pennsylvania, which can be disconcerting after all that you would experience back in Summer Meadow.
Hey,
And
you're
actually
any bird.
finds the fact that there's still normal wildlife sounds extremely comforting.
Yeah, it hasn't all gone
Instead
silent.
of like the total absence of birds, like back in
Yeah,
that
or the
awful time.
sitting out in the woods and the sound of every animal is hiding. Just that dead silence because nothing wants to make a noise.
Right.
So it's a good sign.
Your time does end up passing uneventfully. However, by the time you are all rested enough, and certainly you are, and actually going to leave the hideout, it is 2 p.m.
Yep.
The sun has definitely risen by that point. Don't need to run the flashlights. It's significantly easier to see.
Question: do you heal anything for resting?
For that day passing, you get back a whole amount of 1 life point per constitution level per day of rest. No, excuse me.
No, it's just
yeah,
2.
It's 2. It's 2. My apologies. I misread the paragraph.
I saw that originally the other day when I was looking it up, and I was like, sweet Jesus, I'm going to actually survive. I was like, oh no, you only get 2 after you're out of critical.
Yep. So yep, everyone who's missing life points can regain 2 back. Not the best circumstances in which to heal, but they're better than some.
Hey man, he's getting scabs now.
Change is saved. Change is saved.
Yes.
Yeah, I forgot to do the life points the first time.
At any rate, yes. Currently, with guesstimation there from Lord Beganigan, about, it's difficult to see the sun, but roughly 2 p.m.
Well, at least we should have plenty of time to get to the water.
About that,
Yeah,
right?
we should definitely start heading that way.
Shouldn't we eat a ration first?
We're going to eat while we walk.
Okay.
Sure, that can be slowly taken care of, and you guys could have handled that. It's fine.
Or you could have eaten during your watch or something. Like,
And
Yeah.
To say I
last
did.
watch.
Potman's going to
So
keep
you're
his
not
eyes
getting
open.
double fucking rations.
Okay.
Potman's going to keep his eyes open for berries, fruit, edible greens, and like hunter's snares he can poach off of.
Sure. We're actually going to end up handling this track in a way which is inclusive to all of you, so as not to put too much weight on Eugene, because while he does have basic forest survival training, he is only one person of the group of 4, and all of you are going to end up mattering. As such, for every hour traveled, I am going to want one of you, and it can't be the same person, everyone needs to take a turn in this per hour, to think of some skill plus attribute combination, a task, that they will use in some way or fashion to assist in this travel. The way is very perilous. You're traveling on inclines. With trees all around, heavy tree cover. Yes, train. Railroad tracks everywhere. No.
Choo-choo.
And without anything but very limited survival gear. As a result, yes, everyone, just one person per hour, will need to basically suggest a task that they will use in this situation to attempt to help the group. And it sounds as if Eugene has the best one to start off with.
I'm especially hoping to be able to poach snares.
Alright, so what sort of attribute plus skill are you maybe looking to use to attempt to locate this?
Thing perception plus survival forest.
Sure, that most definitely works.
Oh, come on,
Should I
bro.
roll
You gotta
secretive?
think outside the box.
Or just roll it.
Yeah, you're gonna enroll it. Alright, go ahead and roll another d10 on top of that. Let's see, 14, that is 3 success levels. That's a level of success. I know you have a flair for the creative, Aaron. Why don't you describe the situation that you end up finding? Because that's definitely succeeding.
All right. Potman, much to his surprise and happiness, actually finds, dangling from a snare trap that shouldn't have worked like that, an entire large pheasant.
All right.
Delicious, delicious pheasant for tonight.
How many meals might that be? 4? Basically, like 1 survival ration for each person.
Sure, I was going to say 1 degree of success, but that's good too.
It's fair enough. In that case, that'll basically end up putting you guys back at 12 after what you ate.
Yay. We're not dead yet.
All right. That is 1 hour of travel. Everyone ends up losing 3 endurance points at least, unless you have a resistance to fatigue.
Yeah, screw you guys who have that.
Aha!
Trusty Tony is still the limiting factor in how far you're traveling.
Trusty Tony has nerves of steel. Nothing phases Trusty Tony.
Okay, that's
Except for sheets of glass.
that's 1 hour out of the way. You guys will have to still take a travel, in which case Aaron's already done his. Who would like to go next with an attempt to assist the party as you make your way through this treacherous area?